Today we're going to do a crash course in using Stencyl. Now, in this crash course, you'll be able to create your first platformer game. So, with all that said, let's get started. So first, you have to download Stencyl, and to do so, I'll put the website where you can get that. And we're gonna go through the steps. So first, you're gonna create new game, and in create new game, you're gonna choose a template to begin with. The templates you can get from the Stencyl Forge store. So here we're gonna start with the crash course kit, and our first game we're gonna call it tests. Alright, and the dimension here, you can leave this dimension as though they are, being that this we're just doing a slide walkthrough, and you click create. Now here is where we have our scenes, and these scenes are what you see when you're playing the game. We have our character, so we have our main character, which is our player, and you have your enemy that you see on the screen. Now, what we're going to do first, we're going to look at the actor. So Mobo, which is our actor, we double click Mobo. So here we can see you have the idle left, idle right, jump left, jump right, walk left, walk right, and we can see there are 4 different frames. So when all these still frames are inputted into your character, so to speak, you get an animated walking with the left or right. Now we can close that, go to our tiles. So create our scene. These are the tiles that we use. You can see that each tile has their own different shape, and with each shape you have different collisions. So the collisions goes with the shape. So like these green tiles are background, so they have no collisions, so the character can walk straight across them. Well, these collisions are platforms, and you need them to be square so the character or player can walk on top of them. Here we have our sound. All the sound that is used within the game that you're developing goes in this tab. So you have our jump sound or our stomp sound for when you stomp on an enemy. Behaviors. Behaviors determine how the game behave, of course. So we have our die pit and reload. So if the character should fall off a platform like in Mario, they actually died and reload from the start of the level. We have our jump behavior, our stomp on any behavior, our stampable, and our walk. Now let's get to the next step in making things work. Right, so we're back to our character. Now we want our player to do stuff, because just creating a player and put him on a scene, you won't do anything at all. So in order to make our player do what we want him to do, we go on behavior. Now as you recall earlier, we have different behavior for doing different stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with our walking behavior. Right, now these are different attributes. So for walking, we'll choose the right key. Moving left, choose the left key. And the default speed is 15. So we want to stay at 15. We don't want him to be walking like the Flash. And then we go into our idle right animation. So you choose idle right, idle left, or walk right, and we'll walk left. So we have this attribute already configured for the walking. So now that we have our car to be able to walk, we need him to be able to jump. So we're gonna have the jump behavior. The jump key is normal. We just use jump key. Jump sound. Then we choosing the jump right, and then the jump left. So there we have our jump behavior configure. Now we just add the dying pit. Now this behavior doesn't have any configuration, being that everything is done within the code itself. So this code determines what happens when the player falls off a platform. And we won't get into detail and explain what each of these statements means. Now that we have our three attributes, we're gonna look at the enemy. So we go back to the dashboard and we select our enemy. Now we're gonna select what happens to the enemy. So we go in behavior. Now in the behavior, we want the enemy to behave like an enemy. So one thing we have to do first is go into properties. And in going to properties, being that this is an enemy and not a player, so you go down and you select enemies. So it puts this player group in a different criteria, right? So because if you just leave off as player, playing the game, you won't be able to jump on him. It will be, like a normal player. You would be able to conflict any damage or anything. So you have to, specify that this character is an enemy. Alright, now that you set him as an enemy, you want things to be able to happen to this enemy. So we go to behavior and we add a behavior stompable. So you want to be able to jump on this enemy, to kill this enemy. So we just look for a stomp image. So let's use the left art. So this is the animation that when you jump on the enemy, this is what it will look like. And then you go to the stomp sound, and these values are default, so you leave those values. So now that we set this, we're gonna save, and in saving we're gonna create our first scene. Alright, so we have our first scene. Now being that it's gonna be a very small scene and not gonna create anything big, so let's call this level 1. Right, leave everything as it is. For the color, we choose the vertical gradient, and we choose something dark and light that give it a shade. Now we are at our first scene. Now this will almost look like any program that you use to create any image. It's not like MS Paint, but it has basic functions that's, you know, pretty user friendly. So we want to create our platform for our players. So, you know, you just click and drag and create your platform here. Alright, make this one there. And you go all the way across. And then you create that right there. Alright, so now we create our platform. All we need to do is add a few actors. So we have our main actor right here. Holding shift, he'll snap to the platform, and we can add our enemies right there. Now that we have our enemies on the platform, we need to modify the scene. So we have to go and change the physics. So the normal physics that we use on platform games is 85. So type in 85 and we go back to the scene, and we're gonna test our game, and you will notice something odd when testing the game. So it's compiling. Alright, so here we have our game, and at first notice I realized that I'm unable to move or anything. So with this problem, we have to dig deeper into what's causing this. Alright, so we're going to be troubleshooting. So we're going to be opening the walk-in script. Now we can see that there's a whole bunch of commands here, and to fix our first problem of us walking right, you can see if statement, move right key is down. Now there's no key that is called move right key, so we'll remove this, and being that we'll be walking right, so we select if right is hold down, so we talk about the right key, then everything here will happen. Same thing for the left. If left key is hold down, the character will move left, and if nothing is all down, the character won't move at all. So I'm going to save that, and in saving that, we're going to test the game again, and let's see what happens. Alright, so I can move left and right, but I can't jump. So, which means we have to do the same thing. So, going to behavior, going to jump. So obviously this section controls the jump key. So remove jump key and we select jump. Now jump is default for spacebar, so we use jump. Now we're gonna save that and we're gonna test the game again. Right, so I can move left and right and I can jump, but when I jump on the enemies, nothing happens. Now let's go fix that. So our jump is okay, walking is okay. Now we need to figure out why nothing is happening. Alright, so look over this code, it seems alright. Those seems alright. And we're gonna look on stomp on enemies. Now we haven't done anything with this behavior, which means this behavior needs to be added somewhere. So let's try to add it to our player. So the stompable group, we should be able to stomp on enemies and using the jump key.
Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming.
Alright, now that we have those things set, we're gonna go back to our scene and we're gonna test the game again and see what happens. So I can move left and right, I can jump, and I can stomp on enemies. And this will conclude our lesson for our first lesson in using Stencyl.